First thing up on our list is the NCAA appeal denied for Braden Galloway and Zach Giella. Saw that on Friday last week. Larry Williams came out with it. NCAA is basically not going to allow them to play, and they're going to lose a year of eligibility. So kind of a double whammy there. They're not going to be able to play. And from some reports, I'm hearing that they can still practice. Some people are saying they can't. Some people are saying they can. To me, if they can't practice either, that would be even worse. That'd be like a triple just huge hit. They might as well not even be in the university at that point, not even be part of the team anymore. But what were your first thoughts? I got a chance to talk about it on the radio, but I wanted to start off with the show because I wanted to see what your thoughts were on it.
Well, I mean, it's a really disappointing outcome, of course, but unfortunately not unexpected. I mean, this was kind of how we thought it might go. Disappointing because these guys, especially Braden Galloway, were going to be a big part of the team. Zach Giella, not so much. Obviously, it was kind of his last year of eligibility, so you feel real bad for him. And what's interesting about it, and I think what kind of gets people the most about it, is the inconsistency with the NCAA. I mean, they're all over the board, which they always have been. These guys, I think at least one of them passed a couple of these drug tests before and after the failed drug test, and passed a polygraph. And still, that wasn't enough. So I'm not even sure why they took the polygraph if it wasn't going to be enough to kind of overturn the appeal. But it's just it's a really disappointing outcome. And but like I said, not unexpected. It's kind of just the way it works. NCAA chooses to punish some, chooses not to punish others. So it's just kind of the dance you do, and hopefully you end up on the right side of it.
I feel like you're getting really close to getting upset about it. You're kind of on the edge there. I can feel it in your tone of voice there, but I feel the same way. I think, and DeAndre McDaniel, a great player that we love, and now as a coach with the secondary for Clemson, he said it on his Twitter account. He said, hey, these guys passed the April test. They passed the October test. They didn't pass the December test with a trace amount, which in some other organizations that is not a bad thing. It's not banned for, they don't get punished as bad as what these two players did. But then in January and in February they passed as well, and like you said, they passed the polygraph test, which is kind of like Mark Childress was saying. It's kind of like, and John Haidt on the radio show, is kind of like Law and Order. That's what they go to, is the polygraph test. And you're like, if they passed the polygraph test and they passed all these other things, and they missed this once. And then I think there was another note from another stat about there's been 349 tests and nobody at Clemson has ever shown up for anything. Right. That was really concerning for me. The fact that they just kind of said, they just dropped the hammer down on it. They said, we're not even, it's going to be too costly to do another appeal. Even the Clemson lawyers said, hey, we're not going to do it, because it's going to be too costly. But for me, it's really concerning because Zach, he loses his last year of eligibility. Basically, that's his Clemson career done. Now, I know Dabo's going to honor his scholarship as Dabo would, because I still lean on the player. I think the player was innocent in this case based on the other evidence. But Braden Galloway is going to be out for a year, so he loses his sophomore year, and they can't redshirt. They can't do anything to get around it. Yeah. But it does seem like, and I mentioned this on the show, it seems like they're super lenient with players who just want to leave their team because they don't get the starting job. But they're very harsh in this case. And I think it's kind of politically correct to be harsh on drugs. But in this case, I felt like if you look at the entire story, it just doesn't make sense to me. And it's heartbreaking that a player ends his career, basically.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Again, like one of the things I wanted to point out too, and I did it earlier, is I just think it's the inconsistency that gets people with this. It's just the fact that you have a UNC, and that's why I get heated about it, because of UNC and the academic scandal and the fake classes, and really nothing even happened to North Carolina. I mean, that is one of the most major offenses I've ever seen in the NCAA. And you have this trace amount of ostarine that could have come from another source that was just unknowingly ingested or something like that. It's a tough thing. Now, at the same time, if a rule was broken, they tested positive. The rule's the rule. It's just the fact that they go hard on some and easy on others, and it's just difficult to take, especially when it's your guys.